Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling. I'm your host, JP John Poz. With me today, very special guest, returning guest after a few years. He's, of course, the owner, or was the owner and founder of Extreme Championship Wrestling, ECW. He's got a new book out. We'll hear all about that. He's Mr. Tod Gordon. Tod, welcome to the two-man power trip. How you doing?
Hey, Johnny, pleasure to be back after all these years. Johnny Podcast, look at you.
Yeah, how you like that? Isn't that great?
I
What's
love
going
it.
on with you, though? What's going on in your world? Because I know Todd is God. The new book is out there.
It's been a whirlwind. I mean, my God, ever since it hit, even before it hit the stands, it went number one. It pre-sales before it even got out on, released by Amazon. Now then opened up as number one. I mean, it's been very cool. But boy, I'm hearing from everybody. I'm hearing from people I haven't heard from in so many years. Hearing from people I didn't know I was related to. Hearing from a lot of different people. It's been a very cool experience. I'm meeting a lot of new people too with the podcast and stuff.
So, of course, the book is Todd is God, the authorized story of how I created Extreme Championship Wrestling. You and Sean Oliver, kicking ass and taking names over there.
Sean's great. I mean, he did the kayfabe commentary series, and he was very successful with that. He also had a successful book before this. Um, I did two videos for him, two DVDs, and we became friendly. So we talk occasionally now and then after that, and I tell him a story. He'd be hysterical. He goes, "Oh my God, you got to write that down. Put it in the book." I said, "There's no book. There's just going to be a book." I said, "There's not going to be a book." Anytime I would tell him a story, same thing would come up. He said, "You got to put that in the book." I said, "There's no book." Finally, he says, "I want to write a book." I said, "I don't want to do a book. I want to write a book. I don't want to do a book." He said, "The story that came out on the DVD from the WWE, uh, so and so, this story, that story. Is that what happened really?" I said, "Well, no, but that's all right." He goes, "What do you mean that's all right?" That's why they're saying the unauthorized story, the rise and fall of ECW, the unauthorized story, the history of ECW, the unauthorized book. Well, the reason we're unauthorized is no one even ever spoke to me. I mean, I never was contacted once
Wow.
about that talking about a rise and fall of a company. It was my company. That's insane. I mean, either it was Joey Styles or Shane Douglas, but the fact is, no one ever contacted me once. He goes, "Why don't we tell them the authorized story? Like the guy who actually saw it happen, was there, can verify everything he's saying in the book." Uh, that's what people want to hear. I said, "Nah, come on, that's a long time ago." He said, "Todd, listen to me." And listen, they're still yelling ECW, WWE shows. I'm like, "Oh my God, this is like dumbfounding. It's overwhelming." And there was a bunch of stuff that I really wanted to straighten out. It's been out there incorrectly for a long time. I thought that it had been handled, but obviously it wasn't. And as long as I'm doing it, let's let the fans in. And I was always a fans promoter. It's always about giving the fans what they wanted. So let's do that again. Let's tell them some crazy road stories. Let's get into the sex and the drugs and the debauchery that was our road trips. Let's have some fun. Every get down, just enjoy what it used to be. And that's pretty much what the book encompasses. A little bit of everything. Like ECW, the comedy, chain wrestling, the hardcore, a little bit of everything. Something for everybody.
Now, does it bother you that they do the unauthorized stuff and some of the stuff isn't true and you're like not contacted? Does that bother you at all or no?
I mean, certainly not now. When it first happened, the very, very beginning of it, when they started releasing things like that, I thought, well, that's kind of odd. How do they talk about the opening, the beginning, and even Eastern? We're not discussing without talking to me. That doesn't make any sense at all. Um, but, that's the way it is over there. They had their 4 or 5 ex ECW guys, the Dreamer, Taz, Bubba, that New York grouping, and that was going to be their story, whatever their story was, and they're entitled to their story. That was going to be what was presented. And of course, Paulie, which you take with a grain of salt any story he tells, but I just assumed that he had smartened the boys up a lot. And when his DVD came out, and I heard some of the things he was saying, I was like, holy shit. I just realized that he's saying this because he's never smartened those guys up and wouldn't want to do it now because he looks stupid doing 25 years later. So all this time I had this heat with certain individuals, not many, just a couple, for no reason at all. And that was amazing to me. So it took like a while for Short to talk me into it. But once he talked me into it, we went at it, no holds barred. everything needed to be told was told from day one to the end. Or little fringe stuff of my own life. It was supposed to be a memoir, but it turned out to be more of an ECW book than a memoir. And still we had to cut 100 and something pages just to get it down to nice reading size, like 250. But I'm glad we did it. I'm glad the reaction is what it's been so far. And I'm thrilled about that part. I love when the ECW guys, I won't mention names, call me and go, I stayed up all night. I read it in one night. I go, you ever read a book before? Like, I'm stunned to hear you stay up all night reading a book like that. And of course, the other guys say, I'll wait for the audio version because, I don't read so good. I got you. It's all good. It's all good. And so, yeah, it's been a fun ride so far.
When you look at like your version, quote unquote, versus their version, is it like completely different? Like as far as you telling a story, like are they being misremembering the facts? I guess you could say, or are they being a liar?
No,
Like,
I mean, it's very, in terms of what story-wise was out there, not out there, that part was just one not minor, but one part of the book that nobody knew about, and that was the entire, I'm leaving situation. As I was leaving, the locker room was fracturing. You had all of a sudden this family atmosphere had worked my entire, self to the dust day and night to build this family atmosphere amongst all these different misfits, as we call ourselves, and become all one team, the little engine that could trying to do it. Then all of a sudden, at this point, now the locker room is fractured. You get the New York clique, the Philly clique, the Taz, I have my own belt, I have my own Federation clique. I mean, it was just like insane. And he lost the locker room. And everyone wanted to leave. Not everybody, but people wanted to leave. Sandman, Fonzie, Shane, like everyone wanted out. They were miserable there. So I said, I told him I had to go because we got to a point where I just couldn't do it anymore. And he said, how about this? Why don't we get a mole address? There's a mole. You're already trying to help these guys anyway. It was a public enemy, but that's turned into like a mole situation. But I'll never bring your name up in a negative way ever in my life. And you don't say anything about that. So we made an agreement, basically. I stayed silent. He stayed silent. But he got the boys together, like as a locker room. Listen, we're under attack from outside forces. We need to band together again, become that group again, a team, us against the world, like we used to do. We used to fight WWE, WC. Now we got to band together, and that was his way of trying to get the locker room back. And I thought that was great because, hey, I don't want the company to go under. I mean, I'm still getting repaid my money back from that. So the last thing I want to see, so I was no problem with that by me. But then when I see a DVD 25 years later, he goes, yeah. So that's what happened. He left and he tried to get the other guy. And I said, wait a minute. You never smarten those guys up. There's no other reason for him not to have said that like that. I mean, everybody else knew from day one. Sandman knew, Fonzie knew, Scorpio knew. I mean, Sabu knew. So who are you talking to? Like 4 or 5 guys who were getting mad at you, so you just let me hang like that? But there's a lot more to go. There's a lot more that goes on, as I said, behind the scenes there, in terms of all that and our split and how it split and how it happened. And a lot of deception was involved. A lot of deception.
Did he not smarten them up on purpose, though?
Of course, because by the time he would have, they would have been pissed at him for just another lie. So it was easier just to forget about it because I moved on. We're going to hear people out of me, and you never saw him go out and say, if that were true, when you were going out there in the sheets and wherever, like you started coming after me, my name never crossed his lips. Other than, of course, the pay-per-view where he gave me the backhand and a kid who's got to say thank you to Tod Gordon, who hired me, and Rob Boone, our cameraman. Wait, what? The guy, he wanted to be Vince. He wanted the past to be forgotten until he came along.
Right.
And look, God bless him, he's doing great right now. So, but that's really what happened. He wanted to take that legacy and just leave mine, make my legacy and his into just his. That should have been ours.
I agree. Now that whole mole thing, though, so you're saying that necessarily is not true. You were not the mole. There was no WCW mole from ECW.
There was no mole. There's never a mole.
Yeah.
Any more so than when Teddy and Johnny left, and and they were going to go to Vince, and Paul's going to get him into Vince, and I got to call Kevin Sullivan up and get him a job there instead, where they made more money. Was that a mole? Or was that a guy saying, "Hey, you're making $500 a day with me. These guys are going to offer you 300 grand a year. You broke your neck for me. The least I can do is try to help you get a better life for yourself and your family." That's what someone does who cares about people. So I was all for helping them. It wasn't anything underneath the underwire or underground. Everything I did, he knew about. We talked about. There's a common knowledge for the two of us. And of course, Paul being Paul. He's Newt Rockney. If you've ever seen one of his locker room speeches where he gets the guys so fired up they could run through a wall. His boss goes, "And listen, you'll come back in a year, and you'll be the greatest heel in the history of professional wrestling. The monk who's trying to kill the company." And hey, I'm not one of them. I've been losing day in and day out for like how many years now? I said, "I'm good. Don't worry about the crazy, Newt Rockman stuff. We're good." And but yeah, that was what he said. He come back as the greatest heel. And the funny thing is, if those guys had thought it through, or anybody else for that matter, when I left, if I was trying to sink a company, I'd take the video library with me that I own. It's all mine. I own the company. But what happens then? He does a TV show. He can't do a B-roll. He can't show Shane talking about a match he had 3 years ago. There's nothing there. No footage. That's the way you sink a company. Or giving out bad checks, whatever the case may be. But I'm just saying.
Right.
So I gave him the tape library. I wanted to keep the company going because I wanted to get paid back. It's my best interest.
Yep. But I just love that mole story, and it grew legs, and it went on forever, and like the guys in the company, the Dudleys, the Tazs of the world, the Dreamers, they believed it, and he just never smartened them up. Just like, don't ask, don't tell. I'm just gonna keep this going, gonna move it along, because even me as a fan was always like, I wonder why Tod Gordon was a mole for WCW, because they never really said it like you weren't. You know what I mean? It's just crazy.
And Eric Bischoff came out on his recently on a DVD or his podcast because I think I talked to Tod Gordon once in my life or heard his name. Like we did this talent switch one time. There was never any such. It was crazy. There was never a mole. There was never anybody trying to do anything like that. No one ever came to me and said, "Hey, we can get this talent or not get this talent." None of that happened. It is what it's wrestling. It is what it is.
I remember there was a rumor too that you were under contract secretly to WCW, and that your job was to take talent from WCW, from ECW, and bring it to WCW. Like rumors were crazy out there, just because Paul never squashed it.
Our 800 or 900 number had Joey Styles saying, "Is there a mole? Come back next week. We'll find out more." Like they were using that to draw big money. In every which way, that was a great way to make money. I was okay with it. I had broad shoulders. I could handle the heat. It wasn't that big a deal. Guys, like I said, my friends are still my friends. 30 years later, they're still my friends. I don't go a week, 10 days where I'm here from Fonzie twice, Sandman 3 times, Scorpio. I mean, it's like for 30 years, ongoing. We've never gone a week or two without talking to each other.
Did you ever get any sort of, not money because you weren't an agent, but did you ever get anything for like helping Public Enemy get there, like just being the contact person? Did they ever give you anything or no?
I didn't want anything. I was trying to help out some friends, guys I cared about. I mean, these weren't strangers to me. Teddy and Johnny were guys they're like my closest friends. Just like Hack, Sandman. It's like fun. These guys are, I'd do anything for them all my life ever since I met them. Of course, I don't want anything for that. And I didn't really. All I did was make one phone call to Kevin Sullivan and said, "Hey, they're going over here, to Connecticut. If you can make them a better offer, I think you can. They'll come there." He goes, "Thanks." And then he called them up and dealt with them.
And that was it.
Exactly. Yeah, I was exactly on a payroll there.
It's funny because it's like, oh, Mikey Whipwreck, he goes to WCW because of Tod Gordon, Sandman, like Sabu, all these guys. But it was really obviously Sullivan or
yeah, none of them went there because of me. Reagan was already there. He got Stevie to come. Sandman was begging to get there. In fact, Sandman, the day he went in there to meet with Bischoff, Now I'm already out of there now. Okay, I've already left. But as I said, we've always been best friends. He calls me up. He goes, I'm in the limo. I go, yeah? Going to the airport, coming home. I go, to make an offer? Yeah, 300 grand. I went, that's awesome, brother. 300 grand. It's like triple or more than what you're making a year. He said, yeah, but I didn't sign it. I said, why? He goes, as Paulie said, he said, set up a bomb match with me and Onita. I said, okay, number one, for one match, you're going to give up a $300,000 a year contract. Number two, who promised you that? And he went, I said, turn that fucking limo around and go back there and sign that contract. Just like that. He turned the limo around, went right back there and signed that contract. And he said, you got me out of another one. I said, yeah, I know I did, you knucklehead. How do you walk away from that for one match with Paulie promised in Japan? Which, of course, never would have happened.
Right, of course. That is interesting, though, the $300,000. I mean, that's an awesome deal for him.
Yeah, well, by the way, he was jacked up back then, too. He was, he was ready to go in there and compete. And they never used him properly. They changed bookers there like every 6 months, it seemed like. As soon as one
Especially
guy
in 99, yep.
As soon as one person had a direction for him, somebody else came along and said, like, not yet, let's not do the hardcore. He was like, let's do the hardcore. Like, he never had a chance to get his footing there.
Whipwreck either. I mean, and he came out in that same year, 99, never got his footing there either.
I don't know why they even brought Mikey over. I think they were trying to do the same kind of thing that we did with them. But as you found out when the WWE did the Attitude Era or anybody tried, you can't capture it again. You can't say, oh, we'll do the same thing and they'll get the same reaction. It isn't like that. We caught lightning in a bottle, quite honestly. At the right time, the right place, when everything was like cartoons, we came along and said, we're the Howard Stern of wrestling. We're R-rated wrestling. And we're not for everyone. My first t-shirt said ECW. The back said, it's not for everyone. And it wasn't. And if someone came to me and complained and said, how dare you show that on TV? I had 2 words for them. I said, don't watch. It's not complicated. Don't watch. Change the channel.
Yep.
I mean, don't watch. But today, we try to do that today, it hovers off the air in a week. Our whole country's going backwards now.
Yep. That's so true. I mean, there's so many things like that. Whew.
Oh, we could never put that show on today, even on cable or, pay-per-view or whatever the case may be. But think about this. The company had financial problems, which led to the whole, Paul taking over situation. Think about it, it's been 5 years later, John. There was no internet when we were doing this. 5 years later, we were charging $5, $10, whatever, a head for people to watch our live arena shows. We'd have been solvent the entire time. We'd have made money. Yeah, there was no internet. All we had was tape traders selling tapes in Japan. And thank God for those Japanese buying our tapes. They kept us afloat. But expenses just got too high, and we got bigger and bigger, faster and faster before we were ready. But if there was an internet, what a different story would have been.
Plus the TV money they throw around now with everybody, it's just absurd.
Even without the TV money, if we just did our shows and people online were able to pay to watch them, we had enough hardcore fans. We just stayed afloat and then some.
Oh, yeah, there's a much, much smaller promotion based out of New Jersey now that just does pay-per-views and stuff, and they're doing great. I can't even imagine if that was ECW, how good they would have done if it was just like pay-per-views paying $5, $10, per show or whatever it is.
But our arena shows, our main house shows every month, just that alone, were the greatest of the greatest shows done ever. And that little tiny building with a crazy, heat in there during the summertime. I mean, and yet those shows were like everything. There was so much happening. You never knew who was going to show up. Who's going to come out? Oh my God, it's Arnie Anderson, Bobby. What? The show's already sold out, but we still added those people on just so people know if you're there, anything can actually happen. Rick Rude, where'd he come? Like, we would just bring people out without or tell them because we were already sold out. But we wanted the fans to know, like, we're still trying to please you. We still want to show you we're going to give you more than you can get anywhere else. I give you more for your money. Pardon me.
You can't miss those surprises. You can't not go to the show. You can't not watch it because you're gonna have a cool surprise or something to entice the fans.
Funk in a Box. I mean, come on. You remember this Funk in a Box show?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yep. Come on,
I'll
anybody
tell you
who's
what,
in a
man.
box, they're over.
Well, yeah, it was Sandman who couldn't work because he had a concussion against Cactus Jack. And he had legit concussions. He'd been going out there not caring if he had a concussion. So he's going to bring out a mystery guy. Bring out a big box with him. He pulls it up, brings out DC Drake. And of course the crowd shits on it. And we knew the crowd would shit on it because they were hoping for a bigger name or a name period. DC hadn't worked hardly at all in 5 years at that point. So of course they shit on it. But we wanted them to shit on it. That was the whole idea.
Right.
Until Sandman goes back into the box and Cactus takes that big top cover, pulls Sandman out of the box, gets in the ring and pulls it off. It's Terry Funk. The place goes berserk. Here's what made that angle work. One thing, not just the idea of doing it. Yeah, we got a great idea. Sandman. Went out that afternoon and bought 2 pair of identical sweatpants. The red, white, and blue, the stars, and the flag sweatpants.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't think of that. Funk would have come out of that box with a different pair of pants on. Now, some of the crowd may have noticed, but some would have noticed, and that would have been killed the whole angle. He thought, no, he comes out of that box, the guys think it's me, which is a brilliant but hugely important touch to make that angle work and to make it work.
Yep.
And so, yeah, and that he thought of that because he had a great mind for the business. It was, he's just a drunken. No, he's had a brilliant mind for the business, and he was a sponge. He learned it from anything he could. He lived and died 24/7 wrestling, and he came up with the sweatpants idea, and that's what really made that angle a hit.
So he was one of your guys, right, Sandman? Like, I guess it's the Philly guys, if you will.
Yeah, it wasn't just Philly though. I mean, like I said, there's also Public Enemy, Sabu, Ray, the guys who, yeah. But we had a group. Me, Sandman, Fonzie, and Scorpio. We still our posse, and Nancy Sullivan. God bless her. The 5 of us traveled together until she left and went back to WCW. After that, it was the 4 of us with an occasional add-on like Tommy Rich, Rick Rude, New Jack, whoever may be. But the 4 of us were a core that traveled everywhere together. And by the way, some of the best stories in the book are going to be the stories about the 4 of us on the road together. Because those are some insane, insane stories. But yeah, those are my guys. So like, we're best friends then, and we're best friends now. That's a long, serious commitment to friend. I mean, you're lucky to have one friend like that. I got 3 like that. I could have had 6, and they're all still alive.
Right. But it's interesting.
They weren't just Philly guys. I'm saying it wasn't just they weren't just Philly guys.
Right.
Skip wasn't from Philly. Fonzie's not from Philly. Only Sandman was. So also because the Philly guys really, Sandman and I were going through the group from Philly.
But it's funny. It's like that group is separate, but the New York crew, the Heyman guys, they try to be separate as well, and they like stuck together. So, like you were saying, there was a little bit of dissension amongst the ranks, right, between the guys.
Only after I gave up ownership. Everybody was still a family when I was running the place. And I was running it because I wouldn't have had it any other way. I saw dissension. I either work it out or they'd be gone. It's just like every worker who came in, Hawk, Curtis Hughes, any big name, Ron Simmons. Here's the deal. First night you're doing the job. If they say no, okay, you just got yourself a one-night gig. Because we don't want you on the team. And they say, whatever you say, boss, they're it. And that tells me they're a team player. And that was important to us. We didn't want a Hulk Hogan in our dressing room. We didn't want people to only come out because one guy's going to be the main event. It could have been Shane in the main event. It could have been Public Enemy. It could have been Terry Funk, Sabu. They were all stars. You couldn't have a bad show when they're all stars. You weren't waiting for just the Ultimate Warrior to have his match or Hogan to come in or whatever. We were never going to put ourselves in a position where one guy could hold us up and say, I want more money and I'm not going to work. Okay. We got 9 other matches that are over just as much as yours is.
For sure.
The BWO. Yeah, the BWO. Bring out the cut. There was so much going on. Yeah. Oh, here's Guerrero and Malenko. Wow. Rey Mysterio, where'd you come from? It never ended. The talent level was absurd. We just had the money to put on that, pyrotechnics show. But, man, did we have the talent. Those guys were awesome. And the audience, come on. Seriously, the audience was like part of the show. The audience was like as important as the wrestlers were. We had such a symbiotic relationship with them. We're like, they had their chants for everybody. By the way, and Tod's got not a religious title, something that the fans chanted once that they read. Like everybody had their own chant from fans.
Yeah.
Bring their own weapons to the ring. I mean, they'd all bring weapons to the show. People would walk in handing out prosthetic legs of the wrestlers, stop signs, anything. It was crazy, but it was a give and take. We actually dug the fans. You know what I'm saying? Most places are so big, like, yeah, we pretend to like them, but we dug the fans. They dug us. I was a fan, which is what I'm saying. I wanted to put on shows that I wanted to see. And if I wanted to see them, most of Philly wanted to see them too, of the hardcore group. First big main event we had. Stan Hansen, Kevin Sullivan, Abdul Butcher, and Terry Funk. First big show. I said, I want to see that match. I want to see it. And if I want to see it, they wanted to see it. And that was always my way of booking from day one. More important, as a fan, I want to think, what would I think if I was sitting in that row or that bleacher if I'm watching this? If I say I would shit on it, it wasn't going to happen on the show. If I liked it, it was going to happen on the show. Stipulations. I hated my entire life watching wrestling when they'd say, losing tag teams splits up. And you see him back 3 weeks later with a mask on. Or someone's getting unmasked. Another mask underneath. Such bait and switch. Someone's getting stripped in the ring. Oh, they got a towel around him. You really didn't. Did you really expect to see someone stripped in the ring? Come on. Well, we did. We said someone's getting stripped. They got stripped. I mean, I caught hell with their commission. Got through it, but we promised it. We delivered it. Losing tag team splits up forever. Ian and Axel have been together 15 years at that point. 12 maybe. They never tagged again. We honored our stipulations. We didn't insult the fans' intelligence. That always was my pet peeve. I hate having my intelligence insulted.
Fans were part of the show. Yeah.
Yes. I just also, like I said, I didn't want to insult them and say, hey, we're going to do this, and then not really do it. Because that's just a dick move. I just hated that. And I was not going to let that happen in ECW.
Does it bother you, though, like that New York crew kind of, like the victor go the spoils, if you will, like WWE can kind of change history the way they want because they won the Monday Night Wars, like that kind of stuff. Does it bother you that like that New York crew kind of was able to, because they're in WWE, change history to like their liking and kind of were able to say like, hey, this happened in ECW and then this was so big in ECW. Like, for instance, I'll just throw this out there, like Shane Douglas isn't a part of the show. Or it isn't part of WWE, so he doesn't get mentioned on that DVD. Yet when you go back and watch ECW, he was the franchise. He was the reason why there was an ECW. So, like, does that bother you at all?
Well, it bothers me more for them than it does for me. I saw what Paul did. He tried to create, again, a picture where people call, and to this day call Paul Heyman's ECW.
Right.
He's a superstar now. Okay, yep. But that was his goal all along, was to get in there with Vince, and he wanted to be Vince. When he couldn't be him, he wanted to join him.
Right.
I got that. I don't blame him for that. But I was your best friend, and say like, "Don't step on me again." There, that's different. I'm not asking you to take me along for the ride, but let's remember that I existed at one point.
I know watching that stuff.
I just don't. Good.
I was going to say, just watching this stuff, though, it's like, come on, Paul. Like, some people know that you're bullshitting. Like, that you weren't like the owner and operator. You know what I mean? Todd was for a while. Like, it just sometimes that stuff
From,
has got to annoy like the guys.
from its inception to like whatever 95, and during our as we were peaking, it was all me. There was no decision making power that he had. He was the booker, and they either said, "Yeah, that's good," or overruled it, or we did it together. I mean, God, the Dudleys alone. We used to drive in our cars. I'd be going to work. He'd be wherever he'd be doing. And we were smoking a doobie, and we started like, "How about this Dudley?" And we named like 85 different Dudleys. And we'd be laughing so hard we'd always drive off the road. I mean, it got funnier and funnier and funnier. Big Dick Dudley. Yes! Well, yeah, he could be Big Dick. That's awesome. And, we'd go Dudley after Dudley. Sign Guy Dudley was just a rib on the guy who's in the front row, who had the Todd is God sign, by the way. Who's the sign guy? Every called him sign guy. That was his title. That was his gig. And Sign Guy Dudley came out to be the anti-sign guy. They'd be signing at each other. It was hilarious.
Yep.
Again, interplay with the audience. Hugely important. Like I said, I could have been a fan of ECW sitting in the front row as easy as I was running and owning and spending the money to make it happen.
It's just crazy to think like, okay, Heyman, Taz, Dudley's Dreamer for a little bit, like those are his guys, so they get to kind of write the history of ECW. But in the fans' eyes, Shane, Terry Funk, Sandman, Sabu, like you could say it like those four might be the Mount Rushmore of ECW if you want to if you wanted to, you could definitely say that. But they don't get to have their place in history and rewrite history because they're not in good with WWE, who owns the footage and makes the documentaries. That always just bugged me.
It bugs me too. It's a sin that Sabu made squat compared to most wrestlers in his life. It's not that he
Which
blew
is
it all.
nuts.
He didn't make it. And now he's like half crippled. Nobody's out there thinking, it's just he was such an innovator. Damn, everything you see, even the Dudleys or whatever, their tables, everything, it started with Sabu. And occasionally there's somebody like Mick Foley that say, like, "Hey, by the way, Sabu was, and they'll put him over in whatever he's talking about." But there should have been a better ending for him. It's sad, and he could have had a better ending. He went to WCW when they all asked for him, and Foley says, "No, we have a contract. You can't have." There was no contract. It's just even Cold said, "Sabu, you're not under contract. You never signed anything. There is no contract. You're getting work." He goes, I don't. They said they won't bring me in. Doesn't matter. They changed their mind now because they don't get sued. I'm like, man, that ain't right. This guy broke his neck in our ring. Literally broke his neck.
Yep.
You just screw him and stop him jumping like that. That ain't right.
Yeah, what was he? WCW for 3 weeks or whatever, and then he was right back to ECW.
If even that. And then
Yeah,
Paul threatened to sue, and they said, "All right, we don't want it."
crazy. Like some of that stuff, because like you
But
said, he should be a millionaire or a billionaire, whatever. You should have make a ton of money.
he certainly should be getting wordplay. I mean, someone should have like had give him a super CD or whatever play where he made money for DVD. I mean, where he made money from it. Anything, but recognize the fact that all these guys are getting over doing the stuff that he started. He's the first guy to ever bring a table in the ring. Tables now are like over forever. And when they come out, what do they all yell? ECW, ECW. But in all fairness, they should be yelling, Sabu, Sabu. He did first. He put himself
Yep.
through tables after matches. He'd win the match, put a table in the ring, and put himself through it. People are going, what the hell was that? That was Sabu.
Innovator,
And
and he was absolutely nuts. Yeah.
yeah, and the chair in the middle of the ring, jumping to the rope back to I mean, when he could do it, he could go. When he was younger, he could really go. There's nobody like this guy.
Do
Nobody.
you have any sort of relationship today? I know obviously with Sabu and those guys you do, but what about Paul Heyman? Any sort of relationship with him today or no?
Paul and I were still friends until the DVD came out, which whatever it was, 14, 15. Hello, my name is Paul Heyman. And I'm watching it. It's fine. I was on it. He called me up and said, "Todd, do me a favor. Come on down. I'm doing a DVD about me say some nice shit or whatever. I said, all right, whatever, I got you covered. Came down, did the DVD at the Spectrum here in Philly. I was on it for like 5 minutes, whatever it was. And that's what I hear him say. Yeah, he was the mole, blah, blah, blah. And I went like, what? Wait, what? Never talked to him again after that. And we spoke all the time through that. When I first left, when everybody was like, oh, bad guy, I was talking to him every day. Every day. Those guys had known that. They'd have hung him by a noose.
Right.
But but I understood he galvanized the locker room, and he needed to, or they were going to be dead right then and there. They lasted 4 more years. And that was a springboard towards those 4 years. It carried them for 4 years. But it was a springboard that galvanized that locker room again. I mean, I did tell Sandman with like a gun in his head, you're not ruining this. Don't you go in there and start, don't you say shit, because he's very defensive of me. I mean, he's like a true best friend kind of guy. Like, he usually say anything like he wants to fight right away. Well, he's the barroom brawler, but still, they talk about Tod. He's like, let's go. And we're still that way with each other. But yeah, he finally shut up and let things quieted down as I told him they would. And it went away. It went away within weeks. It's wrestling. What's next? Oh, look at that. Beulah. That's right with Beulah and Fonzie. You just move on. That's the business. It's okay.
Did you ever talk to Paul after the DVD and say, why did you say that? You didn't even talk to him.
Didn't have to. He
Really?
knew. He knew. He knew when I was getting the DVD. He knew I was going to watch it. And all of a sudden, radio silence from both of us. Out of nowhere. It wasn't like, hey, I've told you 5 days. No, he didn't call or text. And I didn't call or text. It was, we understood. He understood. And he said, hey, in his mind, I understand I did this to get where I am today. But look where I am today. The end justifies the means. And, on some level, I guess it does. I mean, he's probably making millions of dollars a year now. He's out there in a main event for what? Through Big Show, Lesnar, and Punk. I mean, he's been main event ever since he's been on camera almost. Of every pay-per-view. Here he is in the main event. So he's making money. Once they got him away from, the people, the bookie, even though I'm sure he wrote the storyline for, the whole Roman Reigns, the Uso storyline, which has been brilliant, by the way.
Yeah.
He drew that out just like he did with Raven and Sandman, and Taz and Sabu. He drew that out beautifully. Because he's brilliant at what he does. He just can't be someone you trust a friend like that. But for his mind, brilliant. Do I think he should be on TV as much as he is? I think he's a little bit older now. And sometimes I think it's a little bit too much of him on TV. I think it hurts him a little bit. But I guess they're letting him just book this particular angle. I don't think he's booking anything else in there. But I think he's showing himself a little bit too much on TV. He got heavy, he got old. We all do. That's what happens. And but still, who's got a better gift of gab than him? He'll do a promo. Since I met him, you never once hear the word or a pause. Like, he doesn't pause. He doesn't miss a beat. He never says He never says or anything cliche. He's point. His mind still works like a motor, a machine. He is brilliant. But, he chooses to do things his way. See, this whole thing here, the book's not all just about Paul and I. There's so much more in the book than that. Here we are focused on that. Unfortunately, most people are focusing on that. Because that was the story nobody knew. And from there, that becomes the whole podcast. But there's so much more in the book than just Paul and I. It really is. You read it, you got to get it.
No, not yet. I got to get it, though. I know it just came out, but I got to get it.
Yeah, man.
What about you and Eddie Gilbert? That's in there?
John, every
Yes.
single thing is in there. How it happened, why it happened, the exact verbiage as it happened, including the Paul and Eddie breakup, all the Tod and Eddie. I mean, everything's in there. I did not hold back on anything, including my own foibles, my own indiscretions. I mean, if I'm going to talk about other people, I got to include myself because I was part of that grouping. I was not going to tell stories with other people. I was going to like tell stories about myself as well. So yeah, I left nothing out. I mean, I could have gone on for, like I said, 150 pages, but yeah, I left nothing out in this book. I put it all in there. That's what ECW was. Balls to the wall. That's what we do.
When you do that, though, are you nervous of any sort of backlash? Like, oh, I can't put that out there because it might be too honest, or you don't care about that? You're putting it out there, like you're Tod
I
Gordon.
think,
You're not holding back.
yeah, I mean, there were parts of me that I was concerned about my children and nieces and nephews, like that kind of people like reading it. But
Right.
in all fairness, they are all in their 30s and above. I have adult relationships with all of them. And I couldn't say, hey, I never lied to the wrestler. I don't lie to fans. And then not tell people in the book what the real deal was. I mean, my kids read it. I mean, they're 37, 30, 38, 36. And they're like going, hey, one particular chapter I wasn't too happy with, but I get it. We knew you were crazy. We understand the whole deal, and we love Uncle Hack. We love Uncle Scorp. That's what they call them. So we get it. And it's a good book. It's a good read. It's actually entertaining as hell. There's some really funny stuff in there too, and there's some sad stuff in there, like the shows, a little bit of everything.
Have you gotten any calls from anybody? Be like, why'd you put that in the book? Or what has it mostly been positive? Because I know you said you were getting a lot of calls.
No, it's been all positive. Like I said, especially when the ECW crew one, I stayed up all night reading it. It was amazing. Or he's Sandman. My God, he's taking notes of the book. You could have used a piece of paper. I signed a book to you like you're my best friend,
Yeah, why'd you have
and
to
you're
ruin the
and
book? Yeah,
he's
yeah.
writing on every page. What? Tell me about the story. I didn't know the story. Like he's making notes for himself. I said, that's like, so yeah, it's funny. But I think that it's an honest book. If the guys are, there shouldn't be anybody upset in that book. One or two people, including Paul, will be upset because I expose things about us individually together or as a team. But there's nobody else. No one's buried in that book. I mean, I have great relationships and still do with almost anybody came through our doors.
When you were looking like to write the book, obviously, I know you said Sean was kind of pushing you along to do it. Were you actually writing down all the stories and stuff? Like, were you actually keeping like a
No,
diary and stuff? Oh no.
we would do Zoom maybe 4 times a week, and anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, depending on what day of the week it was. And he would say, "So the fire incident. Tell me about that." Off I go. So Sandman, give me some good Sandman stories. And 2.5 hours later, I said, "I know there's a lot more." He's like, "Wow, like I'm that's a lot of it." He's nuts. I mean, he is. But he's great. I mean, there's and him and Missy. I mean, there's so many stories in that book about the road. As I said, if you want a great Sandman story.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, this is the book, but I've told it, so I don't mind telling publicly this. We used to stay at the Travelodge, which is this round like castle and building every month, and we got kicked out of everywhere else in Philadelphia. And believe me, we got kicked out of every hotel in Philadelphia. So we called it the Loser Lodge because it was basically all of us and a bunch of losers what we were. And I
Right.
made a deal with the owner. I said, listen, just give us a couple floors that nobody else stays on, and that'll be good. And any damages I'll pay for, whatever the case may be. But we're going to take like 30, 40 rooms a weekend. And he's like, dude, I don't get that in a week here. Like, we're not drawing it. Like, done. Made a deal with the guys. That's where we stayed. Every month, the weekend of the arena shows. One night we're sitting in the hotel room, Sandman, Scorpio, Fonzie, and myself. A cocktail, smoking whatever we're doing. And Sammy goes, "Is this room 705? What? Is this room 705? Yeah. Look at the door. Yeah, why? Oh my God. He jumps up out of his chair. He runs to the corner of the room. He's ripping up the carpet. I go, "What the fuck are you doing, dude? I'm going to pay for that shit. What's the matter with you?" Go ahead. He rips up the carpet. Pulls out an 8-ball cocaine. We're all looking at each other like, what
Holy
just
shit.
happened?
What the hell?
What the hell just happened? He goes, "I forgot I put this here because I was going to Utah. I couldn't take it on the plane. And I forgot that I buried that." I go, "Now, we stayed there 6 months in a row since he put it there. He forgot for 6 months until he saw room 705.
Yeah.
It's better. Scorp. Yeah. He goes walking down the hall, barefoot, snot rag in his pocket, no shirt. That's Sandman. Now Fonzie and I run behind him. There's him and Scorp. Gets to the elevator. There's this giant planner there. Scorp, help me lift this. They lift the giant planner. He goes, "Oh!" Pulls out another 8-ball cocaine. We're all going, "What the fuck just happened here?" This crazy. And we're on the floor. We're laughing. Our tears are streaming down our face. He goes, "Look at this." He's pulling up. He had a party for forever. It was crazy. And 6 months in a row he came there without remembering that once until 705 brought it back.
That's so funny. Popped in his memory bank. Just boom. Oh, yep. That's right. That's great.
That's a typical roadster, I'll tell you in the book.
I love it. Now, you were actually always partying, even though you're the owner. You're okay with partying with the boys and hanging with the boys, and
yeah, my attitude is real simple. I'm not an angel. I'm not going to pretend to be an angel. But if you're not ready to work when you show up because you're high, you're too high, or you party too much, I got no use for you, whether you're my best friend or not. You put your night's work in. What you do in your free time is up to you. We all worked hard and we partied hard, but not till the show's over. That was always the way it had to be. And yes, that I didn't worry about crossing the line of partying with the boys, and simply because of the fact that no one ever didn't show me respect. I mean, if I said to whoever it was, Sandman, anyone said, "Dude, yeah, this guy's going overnight," I wouldn't lie to them and say, "Don't worry, next month." No, I didn't do that. I just what I need. I just got to go up. Never lied. They would, yeah. And anybody, Ron Simmons' first night in Florida, I'll never forget it. It was the first time anybody ever did this to me, and I've been in the business a couple of years now. Ron Simmons coming in for his first night. We're in Florida. He goes, "Yo, Doc, I talk to you a minute." We go outside of the building, behind the building. It's just me and towering Ron Simmons. He's got muscles coming out of his muscles. He said, "Yeah, I hear you want me to do a job tonight, but I think for a job you got to give me 6 or for 6, 7, whatever it was." He wanted an extra $100 to do the job. Don't know where this came around. I went, "Hey, I don't blame you one bit, but you know what? I'll just get somebody else tonight. Don't worry about it. There are other guys back there looking for work. I'll use somebody else in that spot. If that money's not good for you, I don't want you to feel insulted. Don't worry about it. We'll pass on you. We'll use you another time." Oh, wait a minute. Come back. Don't get hasty here. Did the job, took the pay, and we used it a lot after that. But that's one of those things where it's learning on the curve, learning as you go. And
great by you though. Pretty quick by you actually.
Well, I still was smart, but I was just worried these guys would kill me out there. And now I love the guy. You're on here, tight like shit. It's crazy. But but that's the kind of thing you learn on the fly.
Pretty savvy by you though. It's almost like, "Hey, relax. Take it easy. Don't worry about it. We'll just get somebody else. We won't use you." It's like, wait a second. I don't want to not do that. I was just trying to, basically not reason, but negotiate with you.
Yeah, I just want to get an extra $100, but I'd rather not lose. I'm not going to lose the payday. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
you're
saying?
going to
So,
lose the whole thing. Yeah. And obviously, you don't want that kind of attitude. Not attitude, but you don't want that kind of person saying, "Oh, hey, if you pay me more to lose, I'll lose," because that can kind of spread, and that's a horrible attitude to have. Like, hey, you win or lose, you're getting the same pay,
right.
right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
You know, you got to explain to the audience why you're called the two-man podcast.
well, you're the second man now, so it's me and you. We're the 2-man power trip together.
Okay, I was going to say, if Sandman was ever here, he'd say, those two guys, which one's talking, him or him?
What two bald guys with a beard? Is that what he's going to
Yeah,
try to say?
he'd see two of you. Yeah, which one of them is talking? I get the two guys now.
Hey, come on, we'll be the 2-man power trip going forward, right? Come on, why not?
Hey, dog, the first time we met, we hit it off. It was good stuff. Here we are years later back together.
Yes, true. And hey, you didn't mind all the questions the first time around, so that was a good sign.
Yeah, I'm an honest guy. I don't give, and now I'm old enough that I don't give a shit. That's why I wrote the book. I mean, I'm guessing if my parents were still alive, like I might have been hesitant. They don't have to be in their 90s and read about drugs and debauchery, sex, and people getting tied up and blah blah blah. But you know what? Because we don't have to answer to at this point, so let's tell the story to the fans. It's a good story. The fans, we're gonna eat this shit up.
Do you watch current wrestling at all, or no? I was always kind of wondering if you like kept up with it at all.
You know, I will watch either Raw or SmackDown when I can. I go to the PW Insider, which Dave Shearer was a fan of ours, and Mike Johnson was a fan of ours back in the day. That's their site. In fact, they both gave quotes on my book. It's probably the only site I go to, and then I'll read what happened the night before. I think it's worth, me going back to see. Then I'll go back to figure out a way to see it. But I do watch it. I mean, I truly have been watching since the Roman Reigns saga, obviously, has been going on.
Yep.
And I thought, because I knew it was Paul. So in some crazy ass way, I have a vested interest and hope he succeeds. Still watching it. AEW, I think I watched twice, and I watched these guys literally jumping off ladders, rafters, and then getting up and doing. I said, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I just screwed. Like, what? What is that? That's a finishing move. Certainly not a no-sell move.
Yep.
What the hell's the matter with you guys? It's embarrassing. They're exposed to business like that. And I really never watched AEW after that. And I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff on there, but that turned me off so much. So I get watching the second time, same thing. Does anybody sell this company?
So you missed Taz in the FTW title, your favorite title. You missed it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
He brought it.
aware of
He
it.
brought it back.
I heard. God bless him. He had to have, he couldn't have a world title, so he should have his own title. It's all good. That's all right.
I was talking to Shane about this and Just Incredible recently about this, and we were laughing about the FTW title, and they both said meant nothing then means nothing now,
Yeah.
which is true.
I
Yeah.
mean, he made himself a belt. And Paulie let him do it because he didn't want to hear it because he was such a pain in the ass. Fine, you take your belt, make your own little like federation there for yourself. It was crazy. It was
Was
so
there?
fractious too.
Wasn't there? I'm trying to remember who it was. If it was Taz and Sabu or not, but wasn't there a ECW title versus FTW title? Whatever, like merging the titles match. I'm like, wait a second, one of them's not a real title. How could you merge the titles
No,
if the
there was
one's not a
never,
real title?
not to my
I thought
knowledge,
they
there was
did
never any
something
kind.
with that. Oh, I thought they did something with that title to try to merge it with the ECW title. But yeah,
No.
that belt was even by the fans, nobody even thought it was like legit. It was just like
Well, it
weird.
didn't mean
Made no
anything.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, look at me. I'm the Eastern Continental European Heavyweight Division Champion. I mean, what are we? I mean, he's making shit up. It doesn't mean anything. Our
Very
world
strange.
champion, our world tag team champions, our TV champion. That's all.
Did you
There's
see
no like.
Did you see Dark Side of the Ring, by the way, on Bam Bam
Uh,
Bigelow? Did you see that one?
I watched it last night. I watched that and the airplane and mail both back to back last night. And I was interviewed by somebody from the Asbury Press who was doing an article on Bam Bam Bigelow. And I gave some quotes for that. And I guess that's probably aired in conjunction, around the time of the show.
Yep.
But it was an interesting show, I thought.
Bamber was awesome. I always thought he was a huge part of ECW. Helped all those guys get over. You know what I mean? I felt like he was a big part of the show.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, him and Taz, that crashing through the ring thing was insanely sensational. It was phenomenal. I mean, I love Bammer. I used him when I was booking for Jasmine and 3PW. I brought Bammer down from Jersey a couple of times. Like, he was a pleasure to work with. He's so talented. And he's a good guy. He's fun. Yeah, I love Bammer.
Have you ever made any thoughts of like getting back in the business, or you want no part of it? You're too old, or you want nothing to do with the business anymore?
So old. I'm so old. I'm so crippled at this point. I mean, forget about it. There was a show in December at the arena. It was a tribute to the Extreme.
Oh yeah, yep.
This guy did a great job, Timothy, and he did a great convention in the daytime. I sat there, me, Sam, the whole ECW crew was there. Tommy, Rich, Fonzie, Super Crazy Shane, Francis, everybody, like a lot of people were there. And we all were together. It was a great day. And the show that night, they wanted me and Fonzie over the show like the old days. I could barely get in the ring, let alone doing kind of shit in there. Like, oh my God, it's like, what the hell? Yeah, my body's shot to hell from too many chair shots, too many cement, going through tables on cement. One story in a book, Ross River skating rink, ice skating rink. So there was obviously no mats, but there was an ice rink underneath the boards on the outside, forget the inside. Sabu puts me through a table. It doesn't break, it just collapses. And I had an experience that I'd never had before, which you see in the football team, the NFL. I had the wind knocked out of me. Well, those guys laying in the field for a minute, they go, "Oh my God, is he okay?" You wait, oh, he only had the wind knocked out of him. But it looks like he's dead or paralyzed. It's a scary thought you see this on TV. I'm sure you've seen that watching football.
Oh my
Well,
God, yeah.
I had the wind knocked out of me, and I'm like, can't breathe it. And Fonzie comes over and he's like, "Give me the Iggy," which means let me know you're okay. Squeeze my hand. And I wasn't moving. I couldn't breathe yet. I hadn't had my breath yet. All of a sudden I hear Fonzie running around the room going, "Sabu, Sabu, we killed Tonster. Tonster's dead. We killed fucking Todd." I'm going, I can't, I'm hearing him, but I can't respond to him. Like, douchebag, I'm just got the wind knocked. I'm not dead. And finally, I got to communicate to one of the refs or somebody. But meanwhile, he's running around the ring going, "Tonster's dead. Sabu, we killed Tonster. Oh my God, we killed Tonster."
Jesus Christ, you didn't sign up for that. I know that.
But I'm feeling it today.
Yeah, yep. As we wind it down, we head towards the finish here. Give us one last big push for Tod is God, the book, and where everybody can find it.
First of all, you can find it anywhere: Amazon, any bookstore, Barnes and Noble. I mean, we got Simon and Schuster like distributing it, which is like a huge deal. So
Yeah.
we're really happy with the people who lined up to say like we like this. But it's available everywhere. I would say to you, if you were ever a fan of ECW, ever, you will learn things you didn't know. You hear stories that you will go like, only in ECW. What a great! Like, I didn't know that. Like, it's a lot. There's nothing really repetitive. I mean, other than the Shane throwing down the belt, certainly important historic facts. But there's so much stuff there people have not heard, not read, not seen. And if you love the product, if you love wrestling, it's a fun book to read. Like, it's one of those books like, damn, like, you do find yourself keep going and going. I've heard that over and over again. And so that's cool. I mean, we try to trim it down enough to make it just good for everybody. If you buy it, I appreciate it. I'm humbled by the fact that people still even care. It's 30 years later that anybody cares. I find humbling, and I'm thankful for that. I'm grateful. I love the fans. I do.
Tod is God, the authorized. You got to get that right. It's the authorized version of How I Created Extreme Championship Wrestling. Tod, thank you so much for all the time. Really appreciate it. Awesome stuff.
Johnny Podcast, always love you. All your fans keep following you, keep building your show up because you're a good dude and you deserve it.